Hello, boys and girls. Chad back with Kinetics for another travel or at-home workout. So we'll go through our movements today, the breakdown of the workout. Always keep in mind that there's some rep ranges and set ranges given for you so that you can adjust this to fit your schedule, the level of fitness that you're at, so on and so forth. You can certainly add load with kettlebells or bands or dumbbells to a lot of these movements. If you have access to that equipment. If you do not, that's fine. You can certainly do these with just your own body weight, and we can apply some tempo principles and pauses and whatnot to create some different difficulty levels within that. Cool, so let's get started. Prep work today, 3 to 4 sets. We have 30 seconds of cross-body mountain climbers, 4 to 6 reps per side of a 3-direction lunge, then 30 seconds of a plank walk on your elbows. Lastly, we have 4 to 6 reps of a kickstand prisoner good morning. So let's go through what each of those look like, and we'll offer any sort of things that you can adjust within those based on what you have equipment for and whatnot. So our cross-body mountain climbers. You're starting in that same plank position as you normally would for a mountain climber. I'm bringing my knee across my body to the opposite elbow. Okay, so as I go, I'm rotating, bringing my knee to that opposing elbow. Okay, play around with tempo here, intensity, how quickly you're moving your feet, so on and so forth. If this is absolutely off the table for you, just stick to a regular mountain climber. After that, we have 4 to 6 reps per side of a 3-direction lunge. So when we do our 3-direction lunge, each rep is constituted by a forward, lateral, and reverse lunge. Okay, that's 1. I go right back in, forward, lateral, and reverse. When I'm in these positions, both my forward and reverse lunge, I want to make sure that I'm staying nice and upright with my torso. Got a little crowded here by my bench. In that bottom position, should be about 90 degrees at the knee, at the up knee and the down knee. Stepping back, going into my reverse lunge, same thing, roughly 90 at both knees. And when I step out to my lateral lunge, making sure that the squatting or lunging foot is planted on the floor, sitting my hips back into a good, strong squat position before I stand. 4 to 6 reps per side of that 3-direction lunge. Again, a lunge forward, laterally, and backward constitutes 1 rep. After that, 30 seconds of a plank walk. We're gonna be on our elbows, and we're gonna step in opposition. So left hand, right foot, right hand, left foot. Stepping with control, we can travel forward, backward, side to side, okay? Depending on the space that you have available, if you have a very, very small space, you may need to just march in place where you elevate your opposing arm and foot. We got 30 seconds there. Last movement, 4 to 6 reps per side of a kickstand prisoner good morning. So kickstand position just means I'm gonna have one foot staggered back slightly. Basically, I like to put that back foot where the toe is roughly even with the heel of the forward foot. So my good morning, in that prisoner stance, I'm going to interlock my fingers behind my head, opening up my chest, squeezing my shoulder blades together, and then from there I'm hinging. Okay? Most of my weight is on the forward leg. The kickstand is just barely kind of giving me some support there. So think about roughly 70% or so or more of your weight on that forward leg. We're driving back into that good solid hinge position, so it's hip driven first. Okay, the hip bends before the knee. Okay, we'll get 4 to 6 per side with that movement. Once we've completed 3 to 4 sets of our prep work, we will move on to our sweat. Today's sweat piece is 3 to 4 sets of 3 different supersets. So you'll have 2 movements paired together. You'll perform those 3 to 4 times, rest a bit. Another 2 movements paired together, perform those 3 to 4 times, rest a bit, and then a third and final superset of two movements that are paired together before we are done with our sweat piece. So let's look at their movements. Our first superset is a rotating kickstand squat, 8 to 12 reps per side, coupled with a torso row, also 8 to 12 reps per side. So for my kickstand squat, we're in that same kickstand position from the Prisoner Good Morning, okay? And now, instead of dropping straight down into a regular kickstand squat, I'm gonna add some rotation where I'm turning my chest toward my forward knee and then standing. So from a slightly different angle here. As I lower, again, most of my weight is on my left or forward leg in this case, okay? Rotating my torso toward that forward thigh and then coming back to neutral as I stand. You can certainly load this up, okay? Dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever you might have, sandbag, backpack full of books, okay? You can load that up and same idea, we're gonna rotate into that position. Nice and smooth and controlled, thinking about corkscrewing yourself down and then right back up. Once we've got 8 to 12 done on each side there, we have our torso row. I'm gonna scoot my bench over for you. If you have a table or a bench or a couch or something you can brace one hand and one knee on, that's gonna be great. And from here, I'm gonna row and actually pull my whole torso. So I'm gonna open up my chest versus a regular row where I'm gonna keep my chest down and I'm just pulling up. Instead, as I pull up, I'm gonna push through that down hand that's right here, turn and open my chest. This can certainly be done with bands, dumbbells, kettlebells, kind of depending on what you have access to. If you don't have a bench or something to support yourself on, you can get into a stagger or lunge position here, and we can do the same sort of idea where I'm gonna open up my chest, and I'm gonna turn into this position here and create that torso row. So you've got 8 to 12 there. Once you've finished 3 or 4 sets of those two movements, we will move on. The next movement that we have, next couplet that we have, supinated push-ups coupled with an active foot hinge. So for my supinated push-ups, all I'm doing is turning my hands so my fingers are pointing down away from me versus up when I'm in that push-up position, right? So I'm just turning my hands around. When I'm here, this is definitely a harder variation, right? So I'm gonna turn those fingers backwards, get myself into a good solid plank position, and then lower into that push-up, okay? All my push-up rules apply. Nice rigid plank the whole time as I'm performing these, right? If I need to elevate my hands, I certainly can. You will find if you have really tight forearms, right, elevating your hands onto something that you can kind of wrap your fingers down around is gonna alleviate that a little bit, but still give you a little bit of a novel training stimulus, something different, okay? And then all the same rules apply. Keeping my elbows tucked, my hands are facing behind me, and I'm in a nice traveling plank for that supinated push-up or reverse push-up, if you wanna call it that. After 6 to 8 reps there, nice and smooth and controlled, we have 15 to 20 reps of an active foot hinge. So your active foot hinge, we're just gonna elevate the heels slightly, and then everything else remains the same for a deadlift or any other hinge movement. I'm gonna push my hips back, okay? Hip-driven movement, and then stand. I'm braced through my belly, push those hips back, and stand. The entire time, for all 15 to 20 reps, I'm up on the balls of my feet with my heels slightly elevated off the floor. You can certainly get a band underneath the balls of your feet and turn this into a banded movement. You can certainly grab a kettlebell or dumbbell and hold that in front of you, or even in a front rack position, right? And create a loaded hinge movement, okay? All the same principles of our normal deadlift or hinge position apply. So we're braced through our belly, shooting our hips back first, the knees bend secondary. Okay? Difference here is that we're elevating that heel and keeping ourselves in that active foot position the entire time for 15 to 20 reps. Once you've completed 3 to 4 sets of those two movements, We'll move on to our third and final superset. First thing we have is 6 to 8 reps per side of a side plank leg lift. So if I get myself into that side plank position, like it sounds, I'm just going to keep my hips driven up towards the ceiling, and I'm gonna lift one leg. Nice and smooth and controlled on both the way up and the way down. So we're not letting that leg kind of flop down out of control, out of the top. We're trying to use momentum to swing it up there, okay? 6 to 8 reps per side of that side plank leg lift. Once we finish that, we have 6 to 8 reps of a half kneeling windmill. So the position I'm currently in is half kneeling. One knee is on the ground, one knee is up, bottom of a lunge position, right? From here, if I'm not using any load, that's fine. I'm still gonna reach one hand up, okay? And I'm gonna shift my hips toward the side of my knee that's up. As I do so, dropping my torso, bringing my elbow down towards the ground, and then driving back up, okay? Nice and smooth and controlled. If I have a dumbbell or kettlebell, I can certainly elevate that loaded element, okay? Hold it overhead. If I have a backpack filled with books, I could do the same thing, holding onto the strap, okay? And then everything else is the same. I'm pushing my hips away, bringing that elbow down towards the floor, and then driving back up. These should be really smooth and controlled, right? We're not trying to rip through them quickly. 6 to 8 reps per side for that final movement, our half kneeling windmill. Once you complete 3 to 4 sets there, you are done with the sweat piece. We move on to our breathe, which is spending about 5 minutes in a saddle pose. Don't skip this. Make sure you get it in. But our saddle pose, we're gonna be in that kneeling position. And from here, I'm gonna sit back, and I can either go just onto my palms, okay? Sit back a little bit here. I can go onto my elbows, okay? If I'm flexible enough and I can lay all the way down on my back, great. If I need to support myself with a bench or a med ball or a couch or something to support my back so I can sit in that position and breathe, by all means, use that, right? If this is a very painful, strenuous position for you, either find a way to adjust it so that it's a stretch, but you can comfortably sit there for a prolonged period of time and use your breath to try and relax into it, okay? Or change the position completely, okay? If this is just not in the cards for you without it being a real struggle, okay? This should be a time for you to work on your breath, calm yourself down, okay? Get a little bit of a stretch in, but it should be pretty passive, okay? So we want to be somewhat relaxed in this position, not straining to hold it or like really fighting to pull ourselves into that stretch, okay? Take this time. If you can stretch it out an extra 5 or 10 minutes beyond the recommendation, by all means, we encourage you to do that. Incorporate some mindfulness or meditation. It's a great way to kind of get a little bit more bang for your buck. All right, great job today. Have fun with everything, you guys, and we'll see you next time.